Something that always interested me with JJK is Gege Akutami's way of dropping in little pieces of information that expands on the character's lore, like how Dhruv is a sorcerer who reincarnated once already, or the quick snippet of Uro's backstory. However, there is one thing he does with this, which makes me feel like he falls short, not following through. There is no depth to it, and it leaves a lot of things unanswered. I'm not saying this is a bad thing for stories to do, but it does happen a decent amount of times. This is how I came to the idea of this video. After seeing JJK Modulo, I thought about what character could possibly get a side story, and in this video I'm talking about what character could be most likely to get a side story based on potential shown by the series, not popularity. The first I want to talk about is Takako Uro. We are introduced to her in the Sendai colony during the Culling Games. During the brawl, we are quickly given a piece of info. She formerly served in the Sun, Moon, and Star Squad as a devoted assassin, however she was one day betrayed when they sacrificed her as a proxy. This same squad was run by the Fujiwara clan, also known as the To, one of the three great families. Yuta reminded her of them and why she hated him so much and was enraged by him. Her backstory is the reason she acts the way she does now, believing only people who have achieved something for themselves can live for others, while seeing people with Yuta's sentiment as believing themselves to be superior. Since her backstory is the very reason for her conclusion, and we see so little of there in the story. If that wasn't a good enough reason, well, let's think of all the possible pieces of lore it can reveal. First, the Fujiwara clan. We could potentially learn about a sorcerer family, which was in the golden age of Jujutsu. We could learn about the cursed techniques and what allowed them to have this power in the first place. Second is that we could learn about both of the squads To had and their members. We know they had at least two. The Sun, Moon, and Star Squad, led by Uro and the 5 empty generals. That could be 9 new characters just from that. Next is the linking to other characters. The 5 empty generals were once bested by Yorozu and led her to be acknowledged by the Fujiwara clans. Both squads were both crushed by Sukuna as well, so there is a chance to see how that played out and even see Heian-era Sukuna actually get a chance to use his spear. Finally, to find out what Uro did as an assassin, someone who didn't have a name until they needed to use her to frame her, killing a member of the Fujiwara clan. What happened to lead up to that?
Why did she need to be framed? Well, a side story could answer all those questions and really show why she acted the way she did. The next character isn't really a popular one, but I think he has extreme potential for a side story. That character is Dhruv.
The guy you told one shot.
Well, we didn't see a lot of Dhruv in the anime or manga, but we do know a decent amount of the guy when comparing it to his screen time. Dhruv once conquered the Japanese archipelago during the Civil War of Wa, the oldest documented war in Japan, which makes him a special grade, as a special grade is someone with the power to conquer an entire country. He also incarnated once before being reincarnated again for the Culling Games. Finally, he was historically of Indian descent, which means he was most likely not from Japan. Now, we haven't seen many sorcerers who are foreign to Japan. Moreover, there are so many questions to ask, like how he discovered reincarnation without Kenjaku's help, what he did when he conquered Japan, or how he died/reincarnated the first time. There are just many what-ifs we could ask about him, so there is a high potential he could have a side story. If I was Gege, I would use it as a chance to not just explore these details, but other things like other sorcerers outside of Japan and how they vary. For example, if they make cursed tools. We already know from Miguel's rope that there are people who make cursed tools outside of Japan. Miguel's whip was very unique, which brings up the question of whether there is more. Another thing we can show is the curses. Now, I don't know when the Heian area was, but I do know in history India has experienced a few wars, with princes fighting over themselves. I think the historical world affairs would also play a cool role in this. Next is Kirara, because I like her and want to include her in the video. But in all seriousness, I don't believe Kirara would ever get a side story just about her due to a lack of potential for it. I want to point out why. Kirara lacks potential for a side story, as there isn't a lot to expand on given to us by the main story. Kirara's story is complete. However, I do see a chance of seeing her appear in someone else's. Next is Hikari, and it's not just because of his popularity. We know Hikari runs a fight club, and from what we know, we can assume all these guys can use cursed energy. This gives us a few ideas for a side story, the main one being on how Hikari created this fight club and found so many sorcerers to participate. It's also a reason to see a more crime-themed JJK story, due to how it's a fight club. And we do know people pay to watch sorcerers fight, and the anime made it seem like these people were rich. I think the best two ways to do this is either having it be a story where Hikari ends up taking over and becoming the top dog through his own strength, or be it a story where we see Hikari going around and finding other sorcerers who was rejected from Jujutsu Society and convincing them to join him. I like the latter best, due to the fact it shows us more of the sorcerers Jujutsu Society rejected due to this, like unconventional cursed techniques or actions. Back in the anime and manga, we see quite a lot more of these guys than actual people at the school, which makes you wonder what kinds of people weren't accepted by Jujutsu Society. It can also give us insight on the other sorcerers in the fight club and also how some people who aren't sorcerers know about them. Since they aren't sorcerers, we can see how sorcerers are viewed outside of Jujutsu Society. Well, this is where I'm ending the video. If this video gets enough likes, I'll make a part 2 where I talk about characters like Yuki and Kenjaku.
Also, quick shout out to @Imbrulol. If you like content that will make you laugh, then you should check out their channel. They have been supporting me for a long time. So thanks.